with Stargate Pyramids and the Pyramid Science Foundation. Today's video is going to be about a totally new type of building structure that I just became aware of in the last few days that largely incorporates the 76.345 degree phi scaling geometry, and that's in what's called hyperboloid buildings. I had previously known about the power plant cooling towers having this geometry, but quite honestly had not caught on to the fact that they were part of this larger hyperboloid uh, building structure concept. And so when I happened to see one the other day, I caught something on Bing Images. I went to it and found out about her hyperboloid buildings, and one thing led to another. So anyway, I'm going to show you what these buildings are, the history of them, very quickly, their uses, and a few examples of those buildings around the world. So let's open up the screen now so we can begin our slide presentation. So here you see three examples. On this cover page on the left is what's called the Shukov Tower. We'll talk about that in a minute. And in the middle is a power plant cooling tower. And this is a tower from China as well. So anyway, to give you just some background on hyperboloid structures, they're often tall structures such as towers, where the hyperboloid geometry's structural strength is used to support an object high above the ground. I think that's interesting. I had been starting to think with all this research that in addition to having other particular talents or abilities, that perhaps this geometry was also important in building tall buildings because of the strength. And sure enough, that seems to be the case. So the first hyperboloid structures were built by Russian engineer Vladimir Shukov and included the Shukov Tower, which we saw out on the front page. These structures are superior in strength or in stability, excuse me, against outside forces compared to more traditional straight buildings. And they're used for water towers, cooling towers, and for aesthetic purposes. So we're going to see examples of all of those here in the slides today. Here is the Shukov Tower that we saw out on the cover page. This is a tower which was built by Shukov in the 19th century, and it was originally built for a fair, and now it's been transported to a different location. But anyway, the Shukov Tower still is in existence. There's some concern, I think it's starting to deteriorate, and it's going to need some work. Otherwise, I think they're going to have to tear this down. But anyway, this is the very first of these. And I think there's two things to notice. One, the 76-345 does show up on the outside, but it also shows up in the angle of the individual pieces of pipe that make this. So if you look at these diamonds here, you've essentially got Russian geometry diamonds comprising the structure of this tower. So here's another one from the cover, the Zhongyuan Tower in China. Again, a communications tower, and it's using this geometry at the base and also at the top of the tower as well. There are a variety of water towers that we're going to see that use this geometry as well. This one is the Tonwell Water Tower in England. Here's one in France that uses this geometry as well. You can see this spiraling concept in each of these. Here's one from Germany, the Möglingen Water Tower as well, and you see the same lattice structure available. You can see it there on the left. Here's another tower in Germany called the Urbach Tower, which has this geometry as well. And here's a tower in Italy, the Torrifuge del Adige. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that properly, but another tower in Italy. And here's some larger towers. This is the Kobe Tower in Japan, and this is situated right next to the water. Here are a big first of two of these types of towers in Qatar. This one is called the Aspire Tower and has this geometry. And here's another one called the Tornado Tower in Doha, Qatar. So two of these buildings with this geometry there in Qatar. So here's another one in South Africa, the Johannesburg Water Tower in Johannesburg, South Africa, has this geometry as well. Here's one in Ukraine, the Biletsivka Water Tower, and the Cherkasy Water Tower in Ukraine as well. And finally, a Mykolaiv Water Tower in Ukraine as well. And another one is the very near where I live. This is the Battlefield Observation Tower at the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania Civil War Memorial Site. So it has it as well. And then finally, the power plant cooling towers that we've known about, but these are actually hyperboloid building structures as well. So I've included those back in here as part of this presentation. Couple more, a lot of the traditional guard towers and watchtowers and things that you see. This is a Coast Guard watchtower, which incorporates this geometry. Here's a power line transmission tower that uses this geometry as well, as does a farm windmill. So we see that this structural geometry is used in a variety of different contexts. So that's really it for this presentation. Be on the lookout for these types of architectural structures around where you live, and I'm sure you'll be able to find some of these hyperboloid buildings in the areas where you live. So I hope this was interesting. Another area of architecture where we see the 76.345 geometry. I thank you for watching, and you have a great day.